Watchman Alexander Lawrence here, coming to you today with a prayer request. This is the first time that I've done this. I don't usually request prayer from my audience, although I've had a number of people offer to pray for me, which is really awesome, and I thank those people. I'm very grateful for them. But my family needs prayer, so please consider doing that for us. Let me tell you what that's all about. First of all, let me say I am recording this while driving, but I'm being safe about it. The last time I did a video while I was driving, I caught some flack for it, and I get that. It's not the safest thing ever because I was holding the camera in one hand while I was driving. That's not the case right now. I have the camera mounted on something, and I'm on country roads. There's not a lot of people around, so don't worry. I'm being safe about it. I'm okay. Paying attention to the road. So here's what's going on. I don't have enough time. I just can't squeeze out, and I really don't get a lot of sleep. I sacrifice quite a bit of sleep, but I just don't have time to do the ministry work that I want to be able to do. I don't have time to write, to make videos. I have so many teachings that I want to put together. I have several videos that are in the works, and I just haven't had the opportunity to finish them up. I have several ideas of awesome things to do, and no time to do it because I work full-time, and my commute is about 2 hours there and back every day. My wife works, so she's not able to be at home taking care of things there. So we have to, share the burden on non-work hours of chores and errands and those sorts of things. And there's family, and there's church. There's spending time with people from church outside of the regular weekly service. There's high holy days, and then of course things like exercise, staying fit, making food, chores, errands, all those things that we're all familiar with that we have to do to keep our lives going. And lawn care, lawn care, don't get me started. So between all that stuff, I just can't find the time. Progress is at a snail's pace. The other thing is, my wife and I are in the process of becoming foster parents. We're going through the training and the preparations for that, which is going to mean even less time once we get foster kids. And that's a ministry. That's a wonderful thing that God has called us to, and a high priority. But I don't want that to prevent me from being able to do the other ministry that God has already called me to. So something's got to change. And I think it needs to be the work I'm doing. I love my job. I love what I do. I feel like I'm good at it. However, I can make more money in less time doing other things, potentially. There are people who do that. Plenty of people who, on a regular basis make more money than I do, putting in less time than I do. So I need to be one of those people. Now, my wife and I have an idea for a small business that it's really, just brewing. We haven't taken any action on it yet, but it's got potential, I think. We would be able to spend a fairly minor amount of time and make a pretty decent amount of money doing this particular idea. But it's not something we've ever done before, and as with all such things, there's a learning curve, and we may fail miserably at it. Now, if God wants it to succeed, it will, but lots of people start businesses and lots of businesses fail. So we need God's blessing. We need Him to have our backs, and well, not really even have our backs. I don't want to say that because that makes it sound like we're forging ahead on something and then expecting Him to bless it. We want to know what He has for us. I have been feeling like He wants me to let go of the rope, the rope of security that, and it's tough because we have certain financial obligations we have to meet on a monthly basis. But I feel like He wants me to take a step of faith and let go of that rope of financial provision from my regular full-time job and let him provide in other ways. But he needs to show me what ways, because I can't afford to try something and have it fail and then go into debt because we don't have enough money to support ourselves. I want to stay free and clear of all that stuff, and it's going to take an act of God. So I'm asking you guys to pray for me, please, that He would reveal to us what to do and make it happen. Just make the pieces fall into place. While I'm here, let me tell you about just a couple of things that I already have spinning. One is I've created 3 different t-shirt designs. They're biblically based designs. Very different styles, each one. So that'll give you some, some choices for different personalities and different tastes. And I'll probably do more shirts in the future, but 3 I think right now is fine to start off with. And this stuff can also be put on other kinds of printables, like dishware and posters and things like that. But I really haven't chosen any of that yet. I'm just focusing on the apparel right now. But I'm going to put that up on my website. I'm working on getting the online shop created and all the back-end stuff that needs to happen for that. So hopefully that'll be up really soon. And then the other thing is, I have this idea. Oh, well, 2 things actually. One is, well, that guy was flying. What was I gonna say? These guys are going like 90 miles an hour past me. So one thing is a booklet that would contain a comprehensive list of prophecies related to the end times. Maybe some other subjects, but I think I'm going to just keep it narrowed down to end times prophecies. And I'm going to bring in verses from extra biblical scriptures, from the apocryphal books, as well as the canonized books. And when I say canonized, I mean the Protestant canon. There's different canons. But I'll bring in the extra biblical books like Enoch and Jubilees and Baruch and Esdras, excuse me. So that'll be pretty cool, I think, because it'll allow you to, in a glance, see almost all of the different passages that are on a particular topic, which is really helpful to me when I do a Bible study. I usually will go compile as many different verses as I can based on the topic that I'm studying. And to be able to see it all listed out by topic in just a big list, all related to end times, I think is going to be very valuable. It's already been valuable to me just putting it together. So I'm not sure how much that's going to run. Probably at $1.99. It's not going to be that much, but it'll be, I think, very helpful for all the disciples of Messiah out there who want to have a better idea of what's coming. And God has told us a lot about the future because He wants to know. He wants us to know, what's coming and be comforted by it, as well as to be ready for it. So that's why making this kind of item is important to me, and hopefully will be something very useful to you. Now, the other idea that I was talking about is a fiction book that would be released in probably a chapter a week in audio format. So it would be an audio book only, and I would make some money by being able to put advertisements during the reading of the chapter each week. I don't know how much I'd be able to make off of that, but there's potentially some reward there. So I'm probably going to do it that way because I have this idea for a series of books circulating in my head based on the research that I did for Leviathan's Ruse. And that's never going to happen if I don't have time. So that's part of me asking for your prayers, that I need the hours in the day to be able to dedicate to something like that. I think that there are some really interesting tales that I can weave based on what I've discovered about the early world after the flood from my research, years of doing research for Leviathan's Ruse. I think I'm going to call the series Echoes of Babel. I'm not positive about that, but I think that's going to be the name for it. It would require more than one book, but it would be all about life from the Tower of Babel stretching forward a couple of hundred years or a few hundred years, and then possibly skipping to the end of time in the last book. But like I said, I think I have some pretty good ideas for it, so I'm eager to get an outline done for that and to crank on it, but I just need the bandwidth. So please ask the Father to show His will to us and to make things happen, and help us to ask Him to help us to have faith, to trust Him, and not only to hear Him, but to be willing to do whatever it is that He says to do. So that's all, guys. Thanks very much for you who are agreeing to help us in that way. I really appreciate it. God bless. Shalom.